Please join me in welcoming Prasidh, Arora.
Like an old man, I have to sit down every few feet just to remember that I can walk. Good evening, friends, family, faculty, siblings that were forced to be here, and most importantly, good evening to my fellow graduates. It's incredible to be speaking in front of all of you. Today, I wish to tell you 3 simple stories from my life in hopes that they may inspire you or help you in some way or another as they did me. I don't plan to talk about Miami. I plan to talk about 3 simple stories that had a great impact on me. However, I don't want to sound all-knowing or anything. After all, I'm the same age as all of you, probably younger actually. These are just 3 stories that taught me a lot. My first story is about taking a leap of faith. Growing up, my family moved countries every 3 years. I've never really called one place home. And as soon as something became normal, it was time to pack up our house and move to a whole new continent. And every time someone hears this, without missing a beat, they ask, what's been my favorite place? Well, a little over 4 years ago, I was a scrawny little Indian kid trying to finish my senior year of high school in Mozambique in Southeast Africa. Well, in all fairness, the scrawny and Indian parts haven't really changed. But that kid had no idea what was coming for him. I had just been admitted to a liberal arts university in the middle of Ohio, a university I'd only known through some Google images and a website. And just like all of you, I spent 4 years here making memories that simply can't be replaced. I had my first college roommate here, Steven, filled with laughter and writing on giant whiteboards. I danced my first Diwali function here. I joined organizations like Engineers Without Borders, working side by side with Ann and Bryce that work every day to change the world around us. I got my first job here as an RA, making friends I can't imagine college without. I learned how to code here. I spent hours talking to the wonderful engineering professors here. I fell in love here, and consequently had my first heartbreak here. And back then, I had the chance to go to a university close to home, in a big city, somewhere comfortable, somewhere easy. Yet something convinced me to be irrational, illogical, and leave everything that I know behind to come here, 9,000 miles away. There will come a time, probably multiple times in your life, when you're given the chance to do something new, something illogical, something out of the ordinary. It requires, if you will, a leap of faith. The act of believing in or accepting something intangible or unprovable or without empirical evidence. Given the chance, I encourage you to take that leap of faith because something absolutely incredible could be on the other side. And at risk of sounding really corny, if you ask me now what's been my favorite place, without hesitation, I would reply our beloved Oxford, Ohio. My second story is about grieving and resilience. Life is unpredictable in beautiful ways. Life is also incredibly fragile. When we have, everything can be normal one moment and completely change the next, and we have no words, no language, no capacity to face this together or as individuals. The spring break of my sophomore year, I hiked the first 50 miles of the Appalachian Trail. It was truly one of the most beautiful and exciting weeks of my life. Ironically, 3 weeks later, just 2 years and 25 days ago, I was paralyzed from the chest down, and my life changed forever. I spent 21 days in the ICU fighting for my life. My parents, who lived in London at the time, flew here to be with me. The following 6 months were spent inpatient in London, doing therapy 7 hours a day, 6 days a week. All this for just the slightest glimmer of hope that I would walk again. The journey has been one hell of a roller coaster, and at the end of each day I felt like I've achieved absolutely nothing, yet I was forced to wake up every morning, no matter my pain level, and start a full day of therapy. Because if I didn't, I'd be left thinking if that was the day my leg gave a little life-changing twitch. And some days I got twitches. Just unfortunately not twitches strong enough yet to get me back up and walking. For many months after my paralysis, and for many times since, grief has taken over my life. I grieve the loss of something that every one of us take for granted. I grieve the loss of the simple ability to get out of bed in the morning and just walk. I grieve the lost ability to stand, run, jump, hike the Appalachian Trail once again. I grieve the loss of normality. If only someone told me when it was going to be my last day walking. And unfortunately, everyone here at some point in your lives will go through something that causes you grief. In these moments, life will be incredibly hard. And although this might not seem relevant now, you will almost certainly go through worse adversity. I'm sorry, but a loved one will die, hearts will break, you'll lose your dream job, limbs will be lost, and this will suddenly become so relevant. However, as those of you who have already been through one of these experiences already knows, there's a hard truth that follows. You will most likely survive. And that's critical, because you're defined not just by what you achieve, but by how you survive. People bounce back from hardship in different ways, and it's really when you hit your personal rock bottom, you bounce back even more resilient. Sheryl Sandberg, Facebook COO, says that we don't have a fixed amount of resilience. Instead, it's a muscle we can build, and even more powerfully, we can become resilient for others. When you find yourself or a friend going through adversity, I want you to remember that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to not be okay. Because what follows adversity is resilience and strength like you've never experienced before. Going back to Sandberg's quote, when you or the people close to you are struggling, you find strength that you didn't know you had. After facing hardships, one of the ways you grow is to help others, especially in the same kinds of situations where you've been hurt. It took me a lot of suffering to learn this. I hope you can learn this now, in your moment of joy. My last story is about community. After my paralysis and semester off, I made the very difficult decision to come back to Miami. It was my first time in the real world in a wheelchair. And it was tough. I didn't really have time to cope with things. I began my junior year as a very different person than I was at the end of my sophomore year. And there were constant reminders around me about how my life used to be. But I decided to start trying. I started doing what was reasonable, expected, ordinary. Talking on the phone, replying to emails, reading a book, picking up a circuit, coding once again. Nodding back at people that told me everything was going to be okay. What I didn't realize is that I was starting my life again surrounded by people that were and still are far from ordinary. My Miami family that called and texted me every single day I was in the hospital for months. My Miami friends that drop everything and still drive me to the hospital when I inevitably fall sick. People that pick me up when I'm at my lowest. Quite literally, people have carried me on their backs. Shout out to Megan and Brendan, thanks for the lift. And most importantly, I have parents and a wonderful sister who are willing to give up everything, give up their jobs and sacrifice all their time just to ensure I get the best therapy and have an easier life ahead. I'm beyond grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the kindness of my friends, the love of my family, and the support I found here at Miami. Not on the easy days, but on the hard days. We find our humility, our will to live, and our ability to love with our relationships with each other. So as you go on to your future endeavors, be there for your friends and family. Be there for your fellow Miamians. And most importantly, no matter where you go after graduation, be grateful for the community around you. If nothing else, I hope you remember 3 things after going uptown for one last time tonight. Take a leap of faith. Live every day like it is your last day walking. And surround yourself with people that love you. Thank you, Miami, and congratulations to the class of 2019.